The Final Four is set in stone, people, literally being pieced together. The biggest question, though, surrounding this Final Four isn't who's going to win it all, but the controversial nature surrounding an Indiana law that could allow businesses to discriminate against gays and lesbians. Time to pack your bags for the postseason, guys. The women of Troy are now in the MPSF tournament after destroying Denver 16-4, thanks to a balanced team effort across the board. That's right, guys. Tonight's the big night as we were just minutes away from the national championship game. Coming off a big upset over undefeated Kentucky, Wisconsin enters this matchup once again as the underdog against top-seeded Duke. Down to just 8 players, getting a career-high 18 points from Khalil Dukes and leading by 6 with 5 minutes to play. But USC basketball just couldn't finish down the stretch, and the Trojans returned to practice Monday, working on closing out those tight games. After winning 2 5-set matches over the weekend, USC has now played in 9 of those this year. But their most recent win over UCLA came right down to the wire. At the beginning of our show, we have the highlight of you flipping in the Nebraska Bowl game. I know you didn't plant the landing, but kind of talk us through that play and what was it like for you scoring that big touchdown?
For me, it was just great because I got off the phone with my dad before the game, and he couldn't make it. And so he told me one of the things was just do something for him. I scored a touchdown, and when I scored a touchdown, I was just thinking just do a front flip, so he knew that something was for him. And my emotions was just, I was just excited to make a big play and be impactful.
USC wrapped up the hype in front of 22,000 fans this weekend. We showed the best and brightest from the spring game. Plus, the women of Troy are off to their best start in program history. We explain what's been cooking lately at McAllister Field. And finally, time to jump for joy after watching this game-saving catch over the weekend. We got all that and more next on ATVM. Here at USC, we celebrate champions of all stages, including our own SoCal Vocals, the acclaimed a cappella group. Take a listen. Looking at Sark in year 2 versus Sark in year 1, you mentioned that players are more comfortable. They understand what the system's like. What does that mean when you have a full year under Sark as opposed to just coming in the first time in January?
I think as much as anything for the players, it means you're not thinking as much.
Jacob, now 5 years removed from the punishment that came down against the Trojans, do you think that the University of Southern California should press charges or create any action against the NCAA? Like a Power 5, right, of USC football players on a basketball court.
Okay.
Besides yourself, who do you got?
Besides myself, okay, I'm starting at the 5. Let's just get that straight. You can take that.
Cody's got to be the point guard.
Cody cannot be the point guard.
One win away from making the playoffs last year, as they say. For this year's team, is that the same expectation, get that final win and get to the playoff? And back here in Los Angeles, the Dodgers opened the season with a 6-3 come-from-behind win over the San Diego Padres. That new kid on the block trying to make their name in the crowded NL West. But early on with the highlights here, it was former Dodger Matt Kemp who stole the show with a base hit up the middle, one of his 3 RBI on the game, giving the Padres the early lead against Kershaw. But then defensively, Kershaw got some help. A line drive to center. The young center fielder, Jock Peterson, with a fantastic diving catch, robbing an extra base hit right there. But one big player who won't be seeing action in next week's opener is Cubs prospect Kris Bryant. The 23-year-old was reassigned to the minor leagues today, sparking some outrage from the Players Association about demoting the hot-hitting slugger. Bryant was on a major tear last year after leading the minor leagues in home runs with 43. And this spring training, Bryant's been off to a great start. 9 home runs in just 40 at-bats. But the catch is now, if Bryant spends 12 or more days in the minors, the Cubs would keep him under contract for another year to 2021, which would save them some cash on that 5-year deal for $25 million. As the 7-3 Trojans face their conference rival Oregon, the Ducks beat USC in last year's conference tournament, and the women of Troy are looking to keep their 3-0 mark alive here in MPSF play.
We're excited, we're hungry right now, and I think, that's where we want to be. We're not satisfied with what we've done so far, and there's a lot of season left.
The pressure will be on Michaela Michael, who leads the nation in the draw circle this year. Caroline DeLira has recorded at least 4 points in each of her last 5 games, and USC enters this one following a long road trip. The top-ranked women of Troy carry a 6-match winning streak in their final road trip of the year against the Arizona schools. It's a warm weather test for the tennis squad that'll be much tougher.
Well, the altitude is definitely a lot different, so the balls tend to fly more. So luckily we're getting there early, so we'll be able to make our adjustments and just see what it's like to be ready for the matches.
USC has gotten some great performances from their 3 talented freshmen in conference play, paving the way for a much improved lineup, sparking these winning ways. And of course, our 8th-ranked men's baseball team has suddenly won 5 of their last 6 overall, but faced an equally hot Arizona club. The Trojans will look to contain the top-hitting team in the conference that are tough to beat, especially in Tucson. USC has dropped each of his last 2 games on Friday nights and are hoping to avoid an early slip-up in this crucial road series.
I'm Ken Masenchi.
And I'm Evan Budrovich, proud to give you the latest and greatest news and analysis in Trojan sports. So we begin with the 2nd-ranked women's tennis team. Since They don't actually have a conference tournament. The women of Troy are battling one another in singles and doubles competition this week in Ojai, California. Break down where USC baseball now sits in the rankings following a huge sweep at the Dodgertown Classic. Plus, the USC men's basketball team prepares for the Pac-12 tournament in Vegas. Check out what they are doing to battle Arizona State on Wednesday. But it gets better. Here's Paul Griffin one more time as Baines, the recipient of the facial, as the Clippers went on to win by 15 points.
And now I send it over to Evan, who's going to take over at the screen.
Thanks, Ken, for that fancy lead-in. Something about March Madness that gets us cooking. We're taking our talents to the trivia crack for the Sports Scene Elite Eight. Let's take a look at the bracket right now.